But yeah, I've just cut the top mount off. That's the old one. When they were originally done, they were there, but we spaced them out to there because the wheels sat under the wings really far. So we're combating that issue again now, but better. So we're making we're going to extend the arms, and obviously it's going to where is it? These adjustable top mounts are going to be off the chassis a little bit. Should be somewhere better. We've got some more tube coming for that rear arm there, and some misalignment joints. But we're thinking now put a kick in that tube because that's currently at full droop. Now, when it's at full droop, that rose joint won't give us the angle we need. We're hoping the misalignment one does, but if it doesn't, the other option is put a slight bend in that bar to kick it more flat on the rose joint when it's at full droop. Quite a bit involved, to be fair. It's not just dead easy. I mean, it would have gone on with them top mounts, but we've got 6-inch travel front shocks, and it was only giving us 5 inches at full droop, so we were still losing an inch of the travel what the shock can do. So we're having to do it. But like I say, we're kind of killing two birds with one stone, because we want the wheels sit further out and be a bit closer to the outer arch. So yeah, we're sorting that while we're at it. So I've just got up work. I'm just cutting the 9 1/4 one. We've got one at 9 1/4, and then I haven't wrote it on the other one, but I've got one's longer anyway. I think one's 13 1/2, something like that. I've got it in the notes on my phone. So I'm just cutting the first one, and then we'll get this welded in it. Obviously I've got 4 of them to do. So yeah. Alright, that's one done. We'll let that cool down, and we'll move on to the rest. Right, progress. I didn't video anything up to this point because I was just way too busy. So we've got one side done. Longer control arms. Strut top's done. That's all tied in nice. Obviously we've had to order some stubby filters now because of that. So we've got some stubby filters on the way. This side's ready for everything painted, and then the new brake caliper on and everything tightened up, and yeah. But obviously it's still on the jack at the minute. It does go a little bit lower than that. I've just got the control arm on this side. Took the old one off. Got misalignment joints this end, just so it'll drop where it needs to drop to. We do get full extension. I had it jacked up on that side yesterday, which is the same as this one, and we get full 6 inch of travel on it, so that's good. I got all this cleaned off this morning. So yeah, I'm literally just waiting for him to come back. He's had to go get another nut because the shocks only came with one nut for the top mount, so he's gone down a local hardware place, get one of them, and then we'll get it through the bottom here, get the castle nut on the bottom, and we've obviously got that side as a reference now. So a lot of measuring coming up, and then hopefully we'll have it done and down off the jack properly today. I set it so we've roughly got about 2.5 inches of compression travel when it's at ride height. Obviously We can adjust the ride height now by rotating these cups, take the pin out, rotate the cup, and add shims to the bottom. We were going to get the threaded ones, but Andy Chilton sent us these, just says for how often we're probably going to be messing with that, we'll just use them. They're not that difficult to adjust anyway, so yeah. Everything's all welded up this side. Just ready for a lick of paint, like I say. And then we can start getting everything torqued up. The nut behind here can be torqued up fully. Caliper brackets can go on, caliper can go on. So hopefully this weekend it'll be fully complete. New suspension all around, front and back. But I jacked it up last night, and you're jacking it a lot before them front wheels start coming off the floor. So for no prep, it'd be insane. Especially with the control we've got now. Obviously we've got rebound adjustment on the top. We've got compression dampening down there. So yeah, we could get it on a slick, on no prep. We could get full extension on the front, tighten the compression up so it just holds the front up and just keeps the weight over the rear. So quite looking forward to getting up to Melbourne actually, and just getting it dialed in for the no prep stuff. See what we can do. Came out quite nice though. They were really far in before, which is why it used to have, you can see down there's some spaces on that old disc. And then obviously the old top mounts, that's where they were when they were first done. And then we added this bit on to push them out because the wheels were super far under the wings and it looked a bit goofy, I'll not lie to you. So we've brought these, I've made these new control arms to get rid of the need for spacers. So, yeah. See what it looks like, I suppose, once the front end goes on, but outside the wheel in relation to where the wing sits, looks not too bad. They're still under a bit, like, but yeah. I don't know what's happening with the charge cooler. Still waiting for Colin to do the charge cooler, but we got the radiator for go on, that's here. But I think he's waiting for the charge cooler before we actually put the radiator back on. And then once all that's on, we can fire it up. It hasn't ran for a while now. I've got front shock sensors to put on as well, but we're probably going to have to come off here with a tab and then down to here. So off this tube, but there's a charge pipe that runs through here, which is why I've not brought nothing off here down to here, which I would have liked to have done really, but without that charge pipe on, I don't want to run into any problems when we get to the point where we need to put the charge pipe on. But this is pretty, this is stout, this is. So yeah, we'll see what happens. There we go, people, both sides done. Happy days. She's a roller again. Continuing on from yesterday, Saturday, I've just been getting a bottle because we ran out of gas yesterday. I just got literally just wanted the bottom gusset on that side. I just got wild that. So I'll just mould that into the boot of my BM and then he pulled me back out. And shock travel sensors, we got to put these on. So this is going to go roughly there. We can't get it off there and across and down to this back arm because the charge pipe runs through there, and obviously to come right next to the shock like that, it means we'd be dropping off that tube there quite a distance before we can even get to the travel of the sensor. So rather than mess around too much, we're going to go there, which is still going to give us a travel reading. Might take some tuning of the calibration for the sensor. I don't actually know, so we'll mess with that when we get there. Back down here again, people. We did have the shock sensor going to here and to there, and we could have made it work with the scaling and the ECU. I spoke to Leonardo at Fuel Tech last night and he said, yeah, we can get that work, no issues. But we've decided we're going from there, that one, and up to there, which will work better. So we've ordered some longer sensors, so it'll just run straight up the inside of that suspension leg and miss the charge pipes that comes through there. So I just welded them tabs on. Just going to weld the tabs on this side now for the same, and yeah, you can then strip these arms off, strip the suspension back off it, get everything powder coated and all this given a lick of paint, and it's done, fully done. So 2 more little tabs to do. Full time lapse on now, I reckon. So that's that done. Both tabs are done, so it's now fully ready for paint and powder coat. I think he's waiting for one rose joint comfort there, and we have had to extend them obviously. So he's got some turnbuckles and extended them, the steering arms. I'm waiting on Colin for the charge cooler. I mean, it doesn't stop it from running. We could chuck the radiator on, get some coolant in it, and get it running, which we really need to do, to be honest. But I think he was on about going over and seeing Colin at some point this week and just try and see where we're at with the charge cooler. And then it's road test time. So yeah. I need jack the back up again really before the road test, and put the £150 springs on the back for street, because that is the only thing we're going to change now from street to track, is just the spring. So it would be a case of unbolting the bottom bolt on the rear shocks, dropping the spring off, putting the other spring on and bolting it back up. Yeah, so I could do with putting them on really before it goes out on the street, because we're on the radial springs now. So yeah, I mean, we've got a choice of radial springs, to be honest. The radial springs we ran last season will go on these Afco shocks we've put on the rear. So, and I think the same length, so they'd work as well. So we've got 2 options on radial springs, different weights, but but we are going to try this new weight for this season, or at least the first couple of events, and see how we get on with it. Also want Gate back on the scales. Once everything's back on the front, Gate back on the scales. We're running 2 shims in here. We've got 2 shims in currently. At the minute, it looks a little bit higher than what it was on the front. But like I say, we haven't got the radiator on, the charge cooler, both of which are full of water. So there's more weight to go on it yet. And the springs are going to bed in a little bit. So I think it'll settle into a really nice ride height with its current settings. And then for racing on a radial, we'll probably take them 2 shims out just for drop the nose, that extra 10mm. But I want to do that when we put it on the scales and just see if that makes any difference to the bias front to rear by taking them 2 shims out. I think it might do. It should do, really. How much, I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll see. See what happens. So, not long now, and then it should be road test time. I think he's on about taking these arms to the powder coaters tomorrow. He should have them turned round pretty quick. And he's just going to give the top mounts a lick of paint himself with the suspension off. We fitted all the brakes yesterday, fastened all the hubs. The other thing he's got to do is just lengthen this bracket, because when it's on full lock, this is overstretching. Well, it's not. It's okay, but you'd prefer it to have more in it. So he's just going to lengthen that bracket a little bit, just to keep that a little bit more slack when it's on full lock. So yeah, I'll put a little bit of something together for the YouTube. If you haven't already, drop us a sub. And we'll keep making the content. I'm hoping this season's going to be a good season like last season was. We're going to try and make every round a street eliminator this year. Whether we will or not remains to be seen. And like I said, we're unsure on street weekend yet whether we're going to do it, and if we do it, we're putting a slick on the rear, and we'll be setting the front end up here for no prep. Now we've got control over compression and rebound, we should be able to transfer the weight onto a pretty decent sized slick and keep the weight over the back. Keep the nose up. So that'll be interesting. He's on about getting Melbourne in May, I think, for just do a bit of a test weekend on the no prep. And then, like I say, if we don't do street weekend, possibly going to do door slammers with it. We've never done door slammers. Yeah, some interesting content coming up, especially from the race meets with Street Eliminator. Hopefully some personal bests on the draggy and hit the track on the slip. So catch you on the next one, I suppose.